people can't help but pay attention to who you actually are.
Faceless offers are going to be disappearing, in my opinion.
People aren't going to judge you so much for what you look like, they're going to judge you for how you feel about yourself.
It's a common trait that I see. People are very hungry for information, but very poor on execution. All right.
What's up? What's up?
How's it going? We got Bonnie in our studio office, coming from Uluwatu all the way up to Canggu to kind of hang out and talk to us about AI, about personal branding, about online marketing, about your experience, about life in Bali, and just anything in general. Bonnie is a master online marketer, been in the space for 15 years, been creating unbelievable products, including outsourcing courses. One of them with Russell Brunson, sold millions and millions for clients or with clients, and has amazing results, including 11,000 people going through your webinars. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And super happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, let's just dive straight in. How did you get started 15 years ago as a woman in the online marketing space, which is very heavily dominated by men, right?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So I actually started off as a balloon artist.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to inflate my balloon business. And so I recognized that you could actually do this thing called search engine optimization. And at the time, you'd be able to get more views from SEO than like a Super Bowl ad for pennies, like really, really cheap. And I was like, whoa, I'm not gonna do balloons anymore. I'm gonna learn about this. And so it wasn't like shortly thereafter that I got a job, going from like the happiest job in the world, like doing internet marketing, doing balloon animals, to doing like being a consultant. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I have a real job now. And here's the irony. I was making a teeny tiny amount of money. So I went from making $250 an hour as a balloon artist, doing celebrity children's events and all these things and having the best time, to making about $20 an hour as an internet marketing consultant. And by the end of the year, my first year, I made $16,000 as an internet marketing consultant, which is below American poverty standards. And that's not even the worst part. I was working myself to death. And it wasn't until the second year that I made $16,000 a year that I was like, holy shit, something's gotta change. Something's gotta change. This isn't gonna work.
What was the determining factor that needed to change in order for you to get to the levels that you're operating at right now?
So, such a great question. So I actually went to an internet marketing event in Las Vegas. And it was so cool, and I was feeling so hot and young and cute. And I went and I met all these men that had like they had, private jets and like huge mansions. And they were like, "Hi, Bonnie, we want to get to know you. Come to the VIP section." And I was like, "Oh, sure, yeah, that's great. I'm looking for a mentor." And so I met like all these guys that are super fucking famous today, the who's who of internet marketing, people you'd know. And they actually spent $38,000 on alcohol one night. And so of course I'm trying to pick their brains. I'm like, so, oh my God, like, what do you know about SEO? What do you know about video marketing? What do you know about all these things? And they were just like, yeah, sweetie, we don't do any of that. We hire it out, like in the Philippines. And I was like, wait, so you don't do your own stuff? And they're like, no, we just know how to make money. We don't know how to do any of that, like other stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went back to my hotel room that night alone, and and I had this realization. I woke up the next day and I was like, I need to learn how to hire people in the Philippines. If I want to make money like they are, and I want to have the kind of life that they can have, I need to learn how to hire people. And that was my turning point moment.
So outsourcing and hiring people, one of the OGs actually that I learned from other than you or Russell and them was Tim Ferris.
Oh yeah.
Right, and the 4-hour work week. So I believe it was a Bible for many of us back in the day. I'm not sure if you know Tim or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you learned or worked with him or have takeaways from his book, or everything you've learned and then implemented later was kind of like the information that you were able to gather from all these marketers?
What was cool about Tim is that he popularized outsourcing for the general public, and he took something that was very much niche and he made it normal to the populace. He expanded the ideas that this was a possible thing. The ideas in Tim's book are excellent. They're very much high level, but one of my favorite things that Tim shares is really understanding that beginner level bosses often blame the person that they hire when they get crappy results. And very much in alignment with like what Tim believes, it's not usually the worker's fault. Usually it is the boss not taking proactive communication for the delivery of the message of what they want done. And that's the biggest takeaway I've gotten from Tim's stuff. And if I could explain to your listeners, like the one thing that you need to do when you're hiring people is you have to hire A players. You have to hire people who care about their work as much as you would care about your work, right? Because they care about high performance. That's in their DNA. And you need to hire people who are passionate about their roles, right? Because an A player may not be an A player in all roles. And you need to take excellent care of the communication of your own delegation. In hiring, we like to say garbage in, garbage out. And so whether you're delegating to an AI model or you're delegating to a human, if you give crappy instructions, you're gonna get crappy work back, period, end of story.
So one of the big key takeaways there is it's always me as the entrepreneur that can be blamed for, and taking full responsibility is the way to go.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about hiring slow, firing fast?
100% what you should be doing, always. 100%. It's so easy for us as entrepreneurs because a lot of us have big hearts and we care about people. And so it's so easy to keep people around for so much longer than we should. And I've been guilty of it myself. But the thing is, it's like whenever you like hold on to somebody longer than you should, like you're doing not only a disservice to your organization, but you're doing a disservice to every other person that works with you, because C player work, like it affects the entire team's morale, right? And it ends up being like when you go into a restaurant and you can see things are a little bit dirty or like the service is a little bit slow. And then, over time, what happens to that restaurant? Gets a little slower, and finally you walk in and there's a closed sign on the door and you're like, what happened to my favorite restaurant? It was all those C players who didn't really care, right? And so it's really important as an entrepreneur to be a compassionate person and say to someone, like, if it's not working out, like set them free for their next opportunity.
Talking about your course, and you worked with Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
We will go there as well, but before doing so, I want to ask about quite a specific question. Many times when I'm hiring team members or new employees or coworkers, I do have the job description and the KPI roughly in my head.
Yeah.
Am I making a mistake?
Yeah.
So the question is, when I'm hiring someone for a specific role, do I have to know the exact KPI and the exact output that I require? Because oftentimes I find out that, hey, actually this person is good at task A and task B, but they're also good at this other task that I haven't even thought about. And the original KPI is not involving the new thing that I just found out that they can do.
My intuition is no, like you wouldn't need to know that at the outset. I mean, certainly you're gonna have like some standards around how things should be done once you've already hired for that role. But for a lot of people who are listening, like they may not have ever hired for something. So asking themselves to like know and understand the KPI in advance is probably not what they should be doing. Instead, what is more accessible for your listeners is to say, okay, I'm not quite clear what the KPI needs to be for, like, let's say video editing, right? But what I can do is I can do a sample project with 3 people who are my top editing choices. And before I even get to that phase, I'm gonna ask them, hey, here is a video that's in this style. I would love for you to go down this Google Doc and I have a couple different videos. And I just want you to estimate about how long that would take you. And then you're going to take that, you're going to times it by their price, and you're going to see some people who might charge $3 an hour might be your most expensive person. Not necessarily, but it might be like, oh, it takes me 8 hours to do a short. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, $24 per video versus someone who might be, let's say $5, and they're like, it's 2 hours, you know? So I would recommend that you find people whose portfolios that you love in the instance of hiring a video editor, and you pre-screen them, and then from there you see how long things would take them, and you find the reasonable KPI by looking at the top people who are available in that price category.
Amazing insights.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much. Well, you're the queen of outsourcing, and you worked with Russell Brunson quite closely. You have a course with him. Can you tell us a short story on how that happened and what is it that you gained from it?
Yeah, so working with Russell was such a gift. You know, whenever you stand on the wings of giants, like you're just going to go so much further, so much faster. I know you know that from your own client work, right? And with Russell, like my friend Anthony said, oh my God, like there's this guy and like he's amazing, and like you've got to like check his stuff out, and like in fact like you should come to a conference with me because he's gonna have it. And like I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, like free trip, yeah, I'll do it. Like sounds fun. I mean, I paid for myself, but like, you know, whatever conference was paid for. And so at the time, Russell was super tiny. This was his first mastermind. So it was just like 12 people in a room.
Okay.
And he was sharing all the same stuff he's sharing today. And knowing how these kinds of rooms work, I knew the law of reciprocity. I knew what would be most meaningful to Russell was to give a great testimonial about the event. So I went and I gave a great testimonial. I became like friendly with Russell. And then when the opportunity came about, like I already knew Russell liked me. And knowing that and seeing the success Anthony had, I chose him as my mentor. And that was really great. And the takeaway for your audience is whenever you're choosing a mentor, choose people who your values align with, and choose people who might even have similar weaknesses to you. Like, so Russell and I share like a lot of core values. Like we're both extremely kind. We both like kind of ADD crazy people. And like, he's actually like not like the most polished speaker naturally. And even that like actually spoke to my heart because I have had a lot of difficulty in that area. And I was like, well, if Russell can do it, I can do it too. And so whenever you're choosing a mentor, definitely choose people who your values align. And Russell and I started working, and he really took a liking to me out of all the people he masterminded with, because I implemented every single thing he said. And so this is another like lesson for your listeners, is if you're in a mastermind container with an extremely successful person, extremely busy person, implement every single thing that they said. You're not paying them big money so you can figure out your own path. You're paying them because they've already done the frameworks. They know what works. So do what they say, and that will motivate your mentor to pour more into you. So anytime actually there was an opportunity to do a deep dive, he picked me. When it was doing a deep dive with the webinar, who did he pick to do it? He said, Bonnie, you want to be our webinar? Like, we'll do your webinar live. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so like he was on my, so I would message him on my phone every single week on an app called Voxer. And I would say, hey Russell, this is what's happening with my funnel. And he'd message me back. He's like, okay, cool. Like, here's what I think is working. Here's what I think you should change. And then I'd do it. And that's why my funnel went to a multiple six-figure level in its first 5 months. And within that time period, I was also featured in Forbes as one of the top people in my space. And it's because I grew so fast. And it was only because I worked with someone and I followed their advice.
It's a common trait that I see. People are very hungry for information, but very poor on execution.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is that the girl in the red dress and the shiny syndrome?
Yeah, it's complicated, but I think it's because in the execution is where we can fail. And so as humans, we get this dopamine hit when we learn new things, and it's exciting and it's fun. And it feels like what some marketers call hope in a box. Oh, I have a new strategy I can learn or a new tactic, right? And it's in the implementation that we're confronted with, a cricket response or a launch not going as expected, or like the failure of someone who we care about in our team actually like leaving when we like implement a new program. And so all of those experiences are actually what grow us. But for a lot of people, we resist that feeling of embarrassment and we resist that feeling of failure. And so it's so much easier to, switch directions, get to a new shiny object than it is to step up to the plate and be kind to yourself in those moments where, you're like, oh, wow, like that launch didn't go as I was expecting. And I really poured my heart into that. I guess that means something about that launch, but less about me.
Absolutely, and it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Like, it's the law of big numbers.
Yeah.
That the more you do, the more you learn, the more you gain, and the better you get. Now, getting better. What is it that you learn from? You've been working with quite a lot of big marketers, big names, and learned from the best of the best in the world. What are some of the traits that you think they have that someone starting out might not have or might not believe they have?
Extremely fast execution, extreme knowledge of how people work, persuasion, marketing. So if someone's listening to this and they're just starting, or even if they're further along, like the best return on investment you can make is studying marketing and persuasion and copywriting. Like hiring those things out in the beginning is doing yourself a disservice, because all of those guys that I've learned from, they can speak copy, they can channel it. Like when they're doing a pitch to you, they can say it on the spot, like as if it's a freaking webinar. And that's the level that you get to when you actually do what a lot of 8-figure marketers do. I mean, Russell's beyond that, but they will actually like take content and copywriting and they'll handwrite it. Why are they handwriting it? They're handwriting it because it actually retrains your brain to think like that. So I used to date a guy and his brother was like an 8-figure marketer, one of the most like well-known people in the space. And he was like, I saw him like during a hurricane once and he was like, what are you doing? He's like, handwriting copy. And they still do it because they're training their brains to think like the top marketers in the world, so that like it just comes effortlessly to them. So I would say that the thing about Russell that was so powerful was like learning that he taught me that it was so important to learn persuasion and importantly overcome the objections that are happening in someone's mind before they ever enter the webinar or your content series. So it'll really take this into actionable steps. Like, what are the 3 biggest objections that are coming into someone's mind before they're getting to that webinar, before they're watching that video series, before they're coming to that challenge? And like not making them feel bad about it or ashamed, because that's the lowest vibrational emotion, right. But it's to say, hey, I totally get it. The XYZ topic is hard. No big deal, because it's pretty hard for a lot of people because all this noise. And you know what? Like, here's some steps you can take to actually flip this on its head. And like, let's share that with you right now, because it doesn't have to be hard.
I love this. I learned this from Jeff Walker and his launch strategy, right? Like he does the pre-launch strategy and the pre-launch strategy, even though where he goes ahead and pre-handles all the objections and literally writes the emails on like, okay, what are the problems, the pain points of our target audience? Let's pre-handle the objections. So by the time they show up to our launch, they're ready to open up their wallets.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. Now, let's talk a little bit about personal branding when it comes to online marketing. So the new age online marketing is around, in my opinion, personal branding and the use of new technology, which is mainly AI. How do you see online marketers and their strategies currently when it comes to like personal branding and AI? A new trend that I see in online marketing, actually two new trends that I see in online marketing. One of them is personal branding and AI and new technologies. Yeah. How do you see the two working together, evolving, and more offers are coming out specifying or specifically for these two niches? What do you see is working, not working? What is your opinion on it?
So I currently help people who have like big brands, like 2.8 million followers, with customizing AI content in their style and voice. And so I'll say that with that caveat that I think AI and personal branding are at a really interesting precipice, right? So on the one hand, like AI can turn anyone into a content creator, and if you know how to use it, an excellent content creator. But on the other hand, that can create a sense of distrust if you don't have your personal branding in line. Because like, for instance, I was going to someone's page the other day. I went to her page, she's an AI expert. I popped around and I saw 5 different carousels. They were all conflicting beliefs and information and styles. How much trust do I have for her in that moment? Because her brand, what she stands for, is very diluted, right? Mm-hmm. When you're just generating content without understanding who you are, what you stand for, what you want to be known for, the kind of person you want to attract, your core values, like your own vibe, all those things, and staying consistent with that, then your audience isn't going to be able to trust you. And so what I do now is I work with creators who already have like huge fan bases, and I help them use AI to take their signature style and tone. And we've been able to help them go viral, right? Like 75 scripts in a day, like really create super high converting content in their signature style and tone. But that's because they're already established, so they get how important that is.
Correct. Some of our clients that we work with, great creators and personal brands, we have the AI element, but the only way we can do that if they have enough content online, correct? What do you see is the best and fastest way to get your voice or your personal brand recorded to have enough data to feed into AI?
At what stage? Like if you're in the very beginning and they don't have anything?
Let's say that personal branding and content creation is becoming mainstream, okay? Mm-hmm. There are big creators that are over 1 million, whether on YouTube or even Instagram, that kind of what counts, also streaming platforms and such. But there are the coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs that realize the power of content and personal branding and, made it to 10,000 followers, 10,000 subscribers, enough followers to start monetizing their kind of smaller niche audience. Would that be enough for them to train an AI on their voice? Or you need like hours and days worth of content?
No, you don't need a lot of content in order to train an AI on your voice. You need to have the courage to be able to speak your truth. And that's probably the thing that's harder for people. Like you can literally start with just a very small sample size. In fact, the signature sample size is 5, right?
5
so
what?
5 pieces of content.
Oh.
Yeah, you can start with 5 pieces of content to start training in your style and tone. And actually, amazingly, like AI, even with just 5 pieces of content, can do a real bang up job of starting to clone your style, which is great.
Amazing.
Obviously, the more you give it, the better. And it is a nuanced process, right? Because we speak differently and different nuances of ourselves, right? But just 5 pieces. And the thing that I find, I don't know if you find this too, is it's not so much about understanding your style, it's having courage to be yourself.
Exactly. Speaking of which, you've created a tremendous amount of courses and had tens of thousands of people, go from A to B to C to Z all the way. And that means that you were able to compile your knowledge into a material that's easy to process, right? Yeah. Now, having AI around for a couple of years now, this process is even easier to compile into a step-by-step process, but it's losing the authenticity of the person.
It can.
Right? Or it can. Where are we going? So will knowledge be general for everyone because of AI? If somebody is creating a new course and they literally go to ChatGPT or one of the competitor AI models, and they just type in that, script it out for me, create the outline, and then they go ahead and record it or use an AI video recorder to create it. Is that it? Are we getting flooded by courses? And does that mean that the supply will be oversupply of courses and the demand will be pretty much diminishing? What's your take on that?
Such a great question. And it really speaks back to what you do with branding and why it's so important. Because in a day where like anyone can create a course like easily and effortlessly, it's kind of like that MRR trend where people can like create, they have a course, they can purchase it, and anyone can sell that course. Well, what happens then? You have no unique competitive advantage, right? So in a world where anyone can create a course generated with AI, like in an hour, and it's not based off of their own original material and their own original frameworks, right? That means that information is going to be commoditized. And we know with the supply and demand curve that if that happens, then, right, what's going to make you stand out? It's going to be your brand. It's going to be what you stand for. It's going to be the trust and the intimacy that you build with your audience. That's why it's crucial that you understand that in the age of AI, because what's going to make you stand out is you. People are going to come to you because they want to get your results, because they've seen your testimonials, because they like your vibe, because they resonate with you, because you've built trust and intimacy with them. If you don't have any of that, then why wouldn't they buy from the next person, right? Or why wouldn't they get it from ChatGPT?
I absolutely agree. Fix. The reason I'm comparing personal branding with AI is because AI commoditizing information, so it will be available for everyone. Meanwhile, personal branding is going to be the unique thing, the brand of a person that cannot really be commoditized. Mm-hmm. Now, our entire focus with our team and with our company is helping people speak their truth and speak their value. Will there be a time where AI has their own value set, and then basically we will just agree with the AI value instead of the personal brand? Do you think personal brands have to be afraid of AI personal brands after a while? Are we going to be able to distinguish the two?
That's a great question. I feel like it's already happening, for better or worse, whether we like it or not. So there's brands already out there, like Little Michaela is one, and there's other AIs where they are making more money in brand deals than a lot of people, like more than $10,000 per brand deal. And it's because they have the same principles that you teach down. They have a solid personal brand. Little Michaela is Little Michaela everywhere, right? So they know how she talks, they know what her values are, they know what she stands for. And so there's one of two ways you can look at this. You can freak out and you say, this sucks, right? And this is ruining everything. Or you can say, wow, I'm noticing.
What an opportunity.
What an opportunity. I'm ahead of the curve. And I'm noticing that people who are going viral, who are converting like crazy, people who are making like $5 million a month, are all using AI, whether they're speaking about it or not. Like the creators I work with, right? Absolutely. They're using it all the time. And so they're getting better results faster with less effort. And so you can say, this sucks, I hate this. Or you can say, the time is now to implement this. I understand that times may be a changing. I don't really know what's going to happen next, but I know there's an opportunity right now. And I know that the more I understand this, the more marketable I'm going to be in the future, and the better served I'm going to be able to help myself and others. So yeah, I'll take advantage of it.
Amazing. And yourself being an AI expert and teaching, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people for different kind of marketing strategies and putting out offers, what would be the 3-4 key angles of AI that, in your opinion, every entrepreneur should start looking at and start learning?
So in terms of AI, I think the most important thing is to understand, how do you get your basic tasks done? Because it's just going to help you move 10 times faster. I also think it's really important, if you have a team, to get your team to learn how to use AI, because your team is going to be able to move 10 times faster. And there's going to be a time where you don't want to have to choose between keeping your team member and replacing it with an AI. So why don't you equip them in the best way possible so y'all can move at lightning fast speed? And I think the other thing is understanding AI, copywriting, and persuasion, because the thing that's really interesting about AI is that it has this ability to create content that might on the surface look really good. But if you don't understand who you're talking to, and you're not deep into the messaging, you're not deep into the psychology, it's kind of like that old marketing adage, you can have the best copy in the world, but if you're not speaking to the right person, it's not going to work, right? I kind of crass example, but if I am making an ad about how to get all the hot chicks, and I don't know that my audience is a club of gay guys, best content in the world might be really killer copy. But if it's not gonna meet the audience where they're at, it's not gonna work, right? So we always have to understand who are we talking to, and AI can disguise us with things that look like they're really excellent without really understanding our customer. And it's really important that you have those fundamentals in place. Otherwise, AI is not going to work for you.
I love all the knowledge you're sharing with us today. Thank you so much. Circling back to personal branding and general offer creation. So the big guys, offer creators, 15 years ago, had an easier they didn't have it easy because they had to figure a lot of things out, but it was probably a lot easier to make money compared to now online. Well, no, it's a lot easier to make money online today, but it was probably easier to make money with certain offers back 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Because SEO, like if you knew about it, you blew up. Now, since information is going to be commoditized because of AI, that means that faceless offers are going to be disappearing, in my opinion. And I'm putting my votes on personal branding, personal brand monetization, and long-term personal brand tokenization. This a little bit. How do you see owning an offer or releasing an offer that is faceless compared to releasing an offer with a personal brand?
Oh, so it's like 10 times harder, if not 100 times harder. Yeah. Oh, 100 times harder. Yeah, it's so much harder to build trust. People who are effective with faceless personal brands are really excellent writers. And so, but they have to be, because it's so much harder to get them to convert. And so I think that's the thing that people don't realize when they think, oh, I don't want to be on camera, so I'll do faceless. And and what you don't realize is like there's a hierarchy in trust, right? So the hierarchy is like video is going to convert the fastest, right? Followed by audio, followed by text, followed by, yeah, pretty much that's it. But it's like each phase requires you to be much better to get the same level of conversion. So what I'm saying is it's not that you can't just write and be successful. You just have to be really excellent at writing. For video, because people can feel your energy, they can trust you more easily, they can feel your emotions, they can tell if you're bullshitting, right? Because of that, like that's the highest converting, right? And then followed by audio, right? Because we can still get a lot of sensory information from audio alone. And then the hardest to build trust with is text. In the same way, if you can't feel someone's energy, like it's just so much harder.
That's what we usually teach our clients or tell our clients, that know, like, trust is the main element that you must have in order to build a successful offer and an audience as well.
Yeah, because you're a smart guy. You know your stuff, so that's why you say that.
Amazing, amazing. Bonnie, where are you on the journey of personal branding yourself? Versus you're helping a lot of personal brands and creators and you're creating amazing offers. How do you feel about it? Is there any resistance? Is there anything that you're looking to get help with? Is there anything that you would share with the audience?
So I've been doing this for 15 years, right? So my first course was in 2014. And when I launched with Russell, I was such a sweet, young, kind young lady. And if I'm 100% honest, I definitely wanted Russell's approval. I mean, who is Russell? He's like this nicest guy in the world. He's Mormon, he's a good guy, right? So I think at the time, my personal brand was the good girl.
Okay. Did that change?
I wanted everybody to like me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and as I've grown into being more of a woman, I recognize that I'm spicy. Like I tell her like it is. Like I'm bold. I'm a little sensual at times. I'm snarky. I have edge. I stand for things. I'm willing to say the uncomfortable. And while it totally works being the good girl, right? Yeah. Amy Porterfield has proven that, right? And that's a totally great brand. That's not authentic to who I am anymore. And so my edge is leaving people pleasing behind. And here's the interesting part. Every time I take a stand for my own boldness, views skyrocket because people can't help but pay attention to you, who you actually are, right? And so when you're willing to ruffle feathers, when you're willing to say the uncomfortable, when you're willing to be yourself, that's what makes you stand out more than anything. And it often takes like a branding coach or somebody working with you hand in hand to give yourself permission to be the person who's going to stand out online. And that person is who you actually are. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're wearing a mask and you're going to be liked for something you're not. That's not a good place to be. So that's my next edge, is just being more and more me.
Beautiful, beautiful. One of the main idea we teach our clients or clients we work with is actually make mistake. be vulnerable. Don't just be like the polished, and especially when we work with women, right? You have to be all glammed up. You have to be ready for shooting day. It has to look perfect. But we see that clients that sometimes just wake up and, record and actually show their true self would have higher engagement and even conversion, because the trust level is higher with them, because they know that, okay, it's not made up. It's true. It's real. It's raw.
Yeah, it's an interesting dance. It really is. Like, I think with being a woman particularly, it can be challenging because there is a pressure to look a certain way, and sometimes the algorithm can respond better when you are presenting yourself with a certain look or like a certain feeling. But it's actually not the look often so much as it is maintaining eye contact with the camera, not projecting shame. Like, people aren't going to judge you so much for what you look like. They're going to judge you for how you feel about yourself, right? So if you're not feeling yourself, right, and you're waking up with your hair all crazy and you're looking all self-conscious and you're looking away from the camera and you're fixing your hair, well, of course that's not going to be an attractive energy. But if you are like, I woke up like this, let's talk, come here. People are like, who's she? With her messy bedhead, right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. The perception of people around us shapes us big time until it doesn't. I heard an amazing quote today from a guy in a mastermind. I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Yes.
Right? And that always brings down to a lot of fear in clients or people starting out with personal branding that, oh my God, I'm not going to post this because what will people think of me, and how will that change the perception of what I have myself and what other people have of me. And basically, once you realize that, you've probably seen that research or study that when people asked or people were asked on their deathbed what they would not do as much, and they said just giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it did not matter.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's like, I 100% agree. It's interesting with like personal branding. It's like, it's a dance. It's your skills, because people have to admire you, right? Personal branding is like what people say about you when you're not in the room. So you have to present that strength, but then you also have to present that underbelly of vulnerability and like your realness and your quirks so people can relate to you. And then it's like, what are you taking a stand for? And like, what do you want to be known for? And what impact do you want to have on this planet? And these three things together are like really what constructs like a trifecta of like an irresistible celebrity brand, right? Because we want all three. We don't want to follow someone if they don't have their shit together in the area that we're trying to follow them in, right? We don't want to follow someone who's stoic, who we can't relate to. So we want to see that they're normal and they have quirks and they have bad days. And we want to align ourselves, particularly in this day and age, with people who are taking a stand for something that we care about, and we're building a movement together, right? Like Russell's a great example with his funnel hacking, right? He built a movement around, it's just like, it just takes like one funnel, right? Or you're
Absolutely.
one funnel away.
Actually, there was one more question that I wanted to
Let's ask.
We can just like...
We'll pop it back in.
Pop it back in.
We'll edit it back in.
Okay. So you've created a lot of courses before. What do you think about creating low tickets and high tickets?
Oh, it's such a great question. Okay, so low ticket is excellent if you already have a lot of traffic, right? So there's an appeal to low ticket because we think, oh, it's only $27 or it's only $200. And that's true, but in a lot of ways, it's just as hard to sell something that's $27 as it is to sell, your time at $1,000 an hour. It's really about understanding that no matter what you're dealing with, you have to understand marketing, you have to understand persuasion, you have to understand copywriting, you have to understand who you're talking to. And so in some ways, actually low ticket is more challenging because most people don't have the traffic to support it. Now, if you do have the traffic to support it, you're in a different ball game, right? Then you have a volume play, which is awesome. But when it comes to low ticket versus high ticket, I would recommend most people start with high ticket because you don't need that many high ticket clients to have like a really thriving business, right? If you can learn to sell packages for 10 grand, right? You sell 10 of them, amazing. You've got a 100K business. That's a nice place to start,
Amazing.
right? And you don't have to have the volume. You don't have to have this huge community. Once you get to be more of an advanced marketer, or you have you have the traffic, or you're willing to put in the reps, right? You're willing to show up 3 times a day. You're willing to do whatever it takes to build that traffic channel and know that it may be a long haul. Then you have the privilege to scale. I don't really recommend for most people that they try to run before they walk. I understand that it's tempting, but there's ways that you can kind of make the best of both worlds. Like you can actually create like a course in an afternoon with AI based on your own material. And then you can use that for your VIP days. You can use that to scale group programs, right? So you can get the best of both worlds. You can have a $10,000 group program, create a course with AI, and like have so much less of your time. Or even if you're doing one-on-one, the same idea, right? Have them take the course and come to you for the questions. And they're gonna get twice as much value. But do I recommend that you try to buy into the bullshit of, oh my God, all you have to do is sell this $27 offer and you're gonna be rich like me? Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's like not ethical. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you're viral, you're a really good marketer, and you've earned the privilege to scale.
Same goes for low ticket communities that
same.
we see, because there seems to be a lot of hype around low ticket communities,
Yeah.
and everybody hypes that up for different reasons. But one of our main strategies is get started building a personal brand. Make sure that you understand the basics of content creation. Get familiar being on camera or creating, and then you already have a skill. Make sure to start monetizing through your personal brand. And once your personal brand grows, we will start building you or helping you build a product ecosystem, which includes lead magnets, front-end products, low-ticket products, and help your audience ascend to your high-ticket group coaching, or services, depending on what you do.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Amazing.
Is there anything you would like to share with the audience? Where can we find you? Where can we find some of your services? Where can we follow your journey?
Yeah, for sure. So people can go over to my Instagram and check out the link tree over there. I'm sure that there'll be trainings and whatnot. Like we're just building out some new funnels and offers right now. If people want to learn from me, we're going to be bringing out an AI photos course, as well as a course on copywriting and building courses, and even soon a course on how we've worked with viral influencers and some of the secret codes there.
Amazing.
So you can check out all that stuff. And honestly, even just getting into some of our free material, it's always so excellent. So I would definitely recommend that they hop in wherever they feel comfortable.
Thank you so much for swinging by, taking the time to do this to have this conversation and this little podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
This was such a pleasure. So fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yay.